My favorite part about playing Madonna is that people treat you like Madonna on set. When you're in the look, I would visibly see people being like because they just can't, their brains are like catching up, and they call you Madonna. They say Madonna's on her way to set. Madonna, here's your chair. And it was great, you know? It's like I just got to show up and be like, yes, thank you, this is mine. I am Madonna, yes.
Put it in.
This film is an homage to Al Yankovic, and he, of course, is a part of this. Dan, I'm going to start with you because you had the distinct pleasure of playing him, but then also having to play him in front of him, play the accordion. Do you actually sing the songs, or were you kind of singing to a track?
I was singing them on set because I find like just lip syncing and not making any sound really, really hard. But I always knew it would ultimately be Al's voice, which is great and took a lot of pressure off. You said there was something both intimidating about having him there every day because, like, you know, it's him and we are making this thing about his life, but also there was like some tacit reassurance there every time when you'd hear him laughing at something or when he would come in after a take looking really pleased, you'd be like, okay, great, we're doing fine, he likes it. If Eric's happy and Al's happy, then we're doing our jobs.
Yeah, getting Al's approval is like so huge and like meaningful. Someone that you've just been a fan of forever, like getting a thumbs up from him. After the first 2 days of shooting, he emailed me and he said, "You're really good at this." And I was like, I'm putting this in a frame.
You are.
I was about to say, it was like, where is it hung up in your house? Because you print it out immediately.
Yeah, I threw out the pictures of my kids. Put it right up there.
What was it like the first time you looked in the mirror and saw yourself?
It was hugely fun. Like the costume fitting was it was just like 40 Hawaiian shirts and 5 pairs of Vans. It was like the easiest, most fun thing I've ever done. And I feel like there were lots of moments when you got on set in the whole get-up and the wig and the moustache and the accordion. Then when you'd see like us together or Quinta or Rain or whoever it was, like seeing those moments, like, oh yeah, it really like reaffirmed what you knew, what the film was feeling like it was going to be.
What was it like, the process of getting to know him and working with him to make this feel like his heart, but be like the craziest version?
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's like I almost want to say this movie's a love letter to Weird Al, but he co-wrote it with me, so that's kind of weird. We're not really telling the true Weird Al life story, so it wasn't, I actually didn't have to do an incredible amount of Weird Al research to write it. We were like, how do we just make the ultimate biopic that touches on everything from Walk the Line and The Doors to, through Rocket Man, all the way to Forrest Gump and Boogie Nights and just any movie that's a biopic, real or fiction.
There's a lot of surprises that jump up in this movie without, I guess, spoiling them. What was it like kind of pulling in just a collection of people who just really love and respect his work?
I mean, the thing about that is everyone was so excited to be there. That was what was so special about it. I mean, Al has a pretty deep, a pretty thick Rolodex. And we'd come up with some of these characters and he'd send me a list. He'd email me a list of 15 names. What about one of these? I could just text them right now. And, but everyone from the actors down, through the crew and everybody just had such an admiration for Al that being on set, it was like everyone's passion project. And it was just so, just very exciting to be there every day, and you could feel it in the air,
Mm-hmm. And Evan, you mentioned last night you had a long-term affinity for Madonna as a little girl, tutus and all, dancing material girl, and now you are a virgin. What was the key to finding Madonna for you? I mean, obviously you said you've been working on it for a long time.
It's funny. I wonder if I should even say this,
I think I know what's coming. Yeah, it's great. It's a really
But as I was watching her interviews a lot in the early 1980s, and I was trying to I was like, how do you get this air about you that she has? And I was like, oh, just when you're talking to somebody, constantly be thinking about sex, or having sex with the person that you're talking to or in the room. And you'll just get this air about you. And then I tested it out and it actually worked. And so I thought, just go with that. And I think actually Madonna would agree. So
If you could tell her one thing about what it was like, or what she should know about this version.
oh, I don't. She's got better things to do. Like honestly, people are like, what do you think Madonna will say? Do you think she'll say anything? No, I don't. I think she's focused on her things and her life and her biopic.
Yeah.
And so, there's nothing I can really say except thank you.
Yeah, the Madonna in the Madonna
Please
biopic.
don't hate me.
Yeah, ours is like the idea of Madonna as a
Yes.
character.
Yes. And then slowly like sprinkling more and more cocaine on top
Yeah,
of
yeah,
her,
yeah.
and insanity, yes.
What was, the most exciting number for you, Dan, to kind of pull together, especially as you're getting a chance to recreate some of his most famous songs?
I really enjoyed Like a Surgeon because it was the first. It was that we had some real like choreography for that, and I love like we had this amazing choreographer, Vasti, and the two guys who played the dancers in that were awesome. And yeah, just getting to work with them on this like super silly number. And there is something fun about like we were rehearsing it in the rehearsal room for ages and getting to do it like in front of obviously it's not a stadium full of people, but a film crew of people. It's like a significant enough amount of people that you get like a good reaction at the end. So yeah, that was super fun.
We do still need this Yankovic stamp all over it in terms of the Yankovic cut that kind of got brought up at the Q&A last night. What does that look like? What would it look like to give him full control?
I will say that there are things that ended up on the cutting room floor. The tone of this movie is very specific. We play it very straight. The jokes are just like absurd jokes that play, like how straight we play them is why they're funny. So there's a lot of jokes that maybe felt a little too broad or like a little too silly and would take you out of this tone that we were creating. I would love to put out a version of the movie that has all of that back in it. There's a moment where you mail the where Dan mails the My Bologna tape, and it cuts right to him putting it in a mailbox. Right before that, what we've cut out is there's an old woman putting mail in the mailbox, and he flies in a frame and body checks her, and then does a split, and everyone in the street claps. And we had to like VFX her legs out. They were on the ground. And I don't know.
One thing I'll add to that is I've worked with that stunt girl since then as well. And I'd worked with her once before. And when we worked together on that day, I was like, we worked together before on the last season of Miracle Workers. And she was looking at me like, going, no, I don't know who you are. I would no. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And we didn't. And then she came up to me on this series and was like, she had done the whole day on Weird, not knowing it was me in the wig and the mustache.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
transformative.
I know, yeah. But yeah, I missed that shot as well. I've got that on my phone, me body checking that old lady.